This episode of Jentry Chau vs. The Underworld opens with a flashback to 30 years ago, focusing on a young student's fascination with the heroes of the Alamo. We meet Billy, a child with a raccoon tail hanging from their cap, who is intrigued by Texas history and the ideas of freedom from tyranny. They decide to try to summon the heroes. Billy, struggling with social isolation, attempts to commune with the Alamo's historical figures with a homemade Ouija board, but are soon interrupted by Ed, a classmate. Despite the attempted summoning, Billy still feels ostracized and alone until things take a sinister turn. The heroes' statues come alive with glowing green eyes, creating a dark and scary moment. The ground cracks, and Billy falls into an underworld that looks like the Alamo, with all the statues now turned into scary zombie figures. The scene transitions to modern-day Jentry Chau, who's getting ready for a field trip to the Alamo. She's checking in with her friend Taki, who's worried she's going to unleash a fire demon with her outfit. Meanwhile, her grandma has packed an enormous lunch, enough for the whole class. But there's a problem for Jentry. She's worried that her friend Michael is mad at her about something, and her powers are still very much alive. So after some thought, she decides she needs to make new friends. On the bus to the Alamo, we see Michael and Stella are avoiding Jentry. Soon the group arrives at their destination with a tour guide who also seems to be from a past time. Jentry and her classmates receive their field trip worksheets. The group goes into the Alamo's museum, and as Jentry is distracted, her powers begin to activate. Suddenly, the lights go out. Her classmates all transform into zombified figures, and it's clear they've been pulled into the underworld with Billy. Ed appears again and reveals himself as a servant of the underworld. He then transforms Michael and Stella into ghoulish versions of themselves, and Jentry finds herself facing her friends possessed by another demon. As they begin to overwhelm her, the image flashes of her grandma as the ghost form, giving guidance with all her ghost abilities. A portal appears at her feet, pulling her away, but not before she's been knocked out. Ed reappears to taunt Jentry, when she's suddenly protected by her ghost grandmother, who is wielding a powerful sword that seems to come from a handcrafted instrument, and tells her that she has to face her fear. Jentry decides she will not run again and will fight for her friends. Gugu appears to help as they fight through zombies, and Stella pushes them through a crack in the wall and into another part of the underworld. Michael then appears, ready to fight against them, but Stella stops him, which is good as it's the ghost guide from before. Jentry's grandma explains they can teach the zombies some respect, and then the ghost grandma disappears. Jentry is suddenly back in the kitchen of the house and on a video call with Taki, having a panic attack. Taki insists that Jentry needs to move on from Kit and Michael and make new friends, and that she's normal. However, Jentry isn't too sure she can be normal when Gugu appears to her. Gugu is all for Jentry taking back her power and teaching the world who she is. Jentry is then on a field trip bus, ready to face her classmates again, and as soon as she steps inside, the bus transforms into a nightmare bus. The last straw for Michael is when Jentry's demon abilities hurt the classmates, and then a rift between the groups starts. Jentry decides that she can't do it all herself, and decides that she's going to get them all to help. In a turn of events, Jentry's grandma appears as a glowing figure and tries to get her to use her powers to close the portal, but Jentry refuses. She is then thrown back to the normal world as her grandma uses her sword to strike the demon who was controlling it all. Jentry is still upset with herself. As her grandmother tries to reassure her, the guide of the tour then takes the students to their final stop on the trip, the real Alamo. Jentry decides she needs to put her feelings aside for the moment and take a look at this real thing the guide is going on about. Billy then appears again, and the battle is taken back to the Alamo, where it all began, with a high-energy battle using their new skills. Jentry, Ed, and Michael begin their final showdown, but Jentry suddenly finds herself once again alone, face to face with the tour guide, who is really some sort of demon. Her grandma returns, telling Jentry it's not too late. Jentry then has to face her friends, who are now part of the demon's army, and Michael, who's under his control. Gentry's grandma encourages her to push them back and let them understand what they're fighting for. They start working together, using their unique powers to fight back. They have to work together. Finally, Gentry is able to light the cannon and defeat the demon who was behind it all. Gentry, using the power of her heart, defeats the demon using her grandmother's sword. With the demon defeated, the normal world is back, and things are back to normal. The episode closes with Gentry back on the bus and checking in with Taki over text message to find that she is also having demon problems too. Then it's a last scene with Ed, who is now showing off all of his new social media followers. The episode ends with Gentry, after a shower, getting back into bed, then getting a text from Kit, who's apologizing for all the weird stuff. She then starts to plan her next move. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay awesome, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing content.